Welcome to our month, September. We are September people. Welcome to Honorable Returning.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure it's the best.
Why did I, at my age, how early age, Coke?
Come back. Our bishop September. I'm telling like our favorite class.
Are you ready?
The Honorable the Speaker.
We shall now have the opportunity for silence prayers or meditation. Thank you very much. You may all be seated. Members of the executive, members of this August House, members of the staff, good morning and welcome to our city. Let's proceed with our order paper. Are there any motions without notice in terms of House Bill 125? Any motions in terms of House Bill 125? None. Any notices of motions in terms of House Bill 126? None. Are there any statements by members in terms of Bill 200? Member statement in terms of Bill 200? Any executive statements in terms of Bill 201? Also none. Let's proceed to item 6.1. Tabling of the 2021-2022 annual report for the Office of the Premier, together with the written explanation or non-submission on time. Honorable Premier. Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Submission of the annual report 2021-2022 financial year as mandated by the Public Finance Management Act number 1 of 1999, hereby present to your office the annual report of 2021-2022 financial year. Section 40.1.3 provides that the accounting officer for a department, trade entity or constitutional institution must submit within 5 months of the end of the financial year to the relevant treasury, and in case of a department or trading entity, also to the executive authority responsible for that department or trading entity. The National Treasury Annual Report Guide for the National and Provincial Department dated August 2021, item 1. Paragraph 4 provides that the final printed annual report must be tabled in Parliament Provincial Legislature by the 30th September and be published on the website. Accordingly, the office is within the prescribed framework. I thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. The annual report of the Office of the Premier is referred to the Portfolio Committee on Public Administration and over for consideration and to be reported back to the House. Item 6.2, tabling of the 2021-2022 annual report for Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, together with the written explanation for non-submission on time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Good morning to the Honorable Premier,
2021-2022 annual report for Department of Sports, Arts and Culture is here submitted on behalf of the MEC for Sports, Arts and Culture, and a letter of explanation for non-submission on time have been written to the Office of the Speaker of the Provincial Legislature of Limpopo. And Honorable Speaker, the apology has since been sent to your office on the 30th of August 2022. The above matter first. The department was expected to submit an annual report on the 29th of August 2022 due to miscommunication between the parliamentary liaison officer and the administration office. The department had to make a follow-up with the service provider to get the printed copies when they were found not to be ready. The time the matter was clarified, Honorable Speaker, it's when the required reports were needed electronically. And we have since worked out the process with our service provider and requested to send the formatted version to the legislature as expected. The late submission is regrettable. The department will make sure that such anomalies that does not occur in future. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The annual report of the Department of Sports, Arts and Culture is referred to the Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture and is covered for consideration and to be put back to the House. Thank you very much. Let's proceed with our order taker. Item 7.1. Consideration and adoption of the following report of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development. Committee Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the Social Development Committee, I, Sarah Mugana, present the report of 2021-2022 for social development.
Any second? Honorable Salan.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm here to support the Honorable Sarah Mugana on his movement.
Thank you. Committee Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the Social Development Committee, I, Sarah Mugana, present the report of 2021 annual report.
Any second? Honorable Nato.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I also congratulate Honorable Mugana for the today. Also, support the motion.
Thank you very much. We shall now refer to the speakers list for the debate. The first speaker, Honorable Kaseko.
Yeah, friends,
Can we allow Honorable to hear what
Madam Speaker, this is not the PGM. You don't just raise a hand. You must say, I'm raising on this room. This is what we want. You don't just raise a hand and then you say there's a hand. What is that? You must tell us what is running on. It's a house.
Honorable, can we allow them to say what they say? Yes, can we allow Honorable Maseko to hear?
No, but one point is raising on.
No, that's not remember.
No, you do not just come up here and speak. You don't have to speak permanently. Oh, no, I'm not.
Can you sit down and allow Honorable Maseko? Honorable Maseko.
Let's see, Jim. No, but order, Chair. Order, Madam Speaker.
Can I hear the order from? Can I hear first Honorable Butani, then we come back?
Which rule is that
Honorable
advice?
Maseko.
Advice, which rule is rule advice?
Sit down, Honorable.
No, there is no rule advice. Rule not rule advice. There is no rule not rule No, but this is a picture of the
Honorable myself, can I finish with your... No, I did not omit anything, Honorable myself. According to my order, I did not omit anything. Can you allow the presiding officer to proceed? According to my order paper, I did not omit anything. We are on 7.1, which is the consideration and adoption of the report from the portfolio on social development. Can you proceed, honorable members? No. I was saying we shall now refer to the speaker's list for the debate on the report of social development. And the first speaker on the list is Honorable Veritas. What is it that you want, Honorable?
I don't feel like I want to. You must also have to run the house. Madam Speaker, you said that I was about to myself. We have allowed myself to speak, but still, Honorable myself did not fail me in what I want to conversion. He successfully proved to me that I was right to say it's not saying now. But let me finish. I have a right to finish. Now, Honorable Madam Speaker, this is the legislature of Limpopo, which is guided by rules. And part of those rules are stand up on one order.
Can you allow one order? Honorable can you allow Honorable Putan to finish? And say what you wanted to say. Can you say it and finish, Honorable?
Now, so my orders, Madam Speaker, is that if we allow a culture of people just waking up and speaking without talking from any room that they want to speak on or want to engage in, we are going to collapse the house. So tomorrow, I'm going to stand up and we are going to say on one room. I will refer you, we are finished.
Say it and finish, Honorable.
What is this?
I'm listening.
Just let me tell me what I'm listening to.
I'm listening.
I'm not talking like science.
Say it.
Now, I'm going to say, yesterday you did not ask each good from Honorable myself. Now, you will have allowed the incident of that spending happen, and I will say, today you are supposed to be because I'm from a different organization. So, my advice is that what happened, let not be said, so that you are keeping to the book, you are playing by the book, and you are not easily to take the inside. So no one must just stand up here and say, I want to talk, I want to advise and all that. The person must stick to the rule. Yes, I'm done.
Can I address you, Honorable Putan? Honorable Putan, what you have claimed has nothing to do with the proceeding of the facts. That is why I've made a ruling on that matter before. So I'm wondering what you are keep on raising this thing. So can we proceed with the proceeding of this Honorable Putan? Honorable members, can we proceed? I call Honorable myself. Sorry. Honorable Maseko, Honorable Chief, I've made a ruling on this matter. Can we proceed, please? then we proceed with the debate.
Honorable Speaker, the Premier and members of the Executive Council, Chief Whip of the Majority Party, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Social Development, and members of the Provincial Legislature. During the quarter under review, first quarter 2021-2022, the Portfolio Committee on Social Development observed that the department was struggling to resolve the historical, irregular, and wasteful expenditure. These unwanted expenditures were the findings of the Auditor General of South Africa, and we further reported as a Portfolio Committee that the matter of irregular and wasteful expenditure was escalated to the Office of the Premier and Provincial Treasury for solution. The committee expressed appreciation that the department reported that 43 of the 48 AG findings, which is 90%, were resolved, and 5 were not resolved, which recur from the 2020-2021 findings. In the Social Welfare Service Program, the committee noted with concern that both services to older persons and people with disabilities, money was unspent in Q4, and the underspending amounted to 2.7 million for older people and 3.082 million for people with disabilities. Most unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, this is the category of people who are more vulnerable, who really want these resources. So we have to learn some lessons, particularly the Department of Social Development. It is very much critical for them to prioritize these vulnerable groups so that they make sure that they spend money allocated to them accordingly. Honorable Speaker, we were also concerned about the condition of the Shiluvana Frail Care Center, which the patients in there require the service from the Department of Health as well as Social Development. The committee observed that the contract of Shiluvana Frail Care Center is due to expire at the end of September 2022. The department had not reported plans to resolve the challenge. However, the department elucidated that the contract will be extended in September 2022. We are also concerned, noting that the process of appointing the Government Technical Advisory Center will not have been concluded at that time, especially given the scope of work and lengthy processes involving appointing a transaction advisor, which will take not less than 18 months, according to GTAC. We will work hard as the committee to ensure that the department provide progress report regarding the extension of the contract. The committee also observed that in the annual report for 2020-2021 financial year, the department had an underspending of 59.5 million under child care and protection service program. We are also concerned, Honorable Speaker, that the department did not spend according to the approved APP. When budgets are cut, it becomes a problem that services will not be delivered. And when budget is approved according to the approved target, it is unspent. And underspending is a very serious matter that as a portfolio committee we will not tolerate. That poses a challenge, and the department must work hard to spend accordingly, because the people who voted this government require those services as expected. We, however, commend the department for achieving targets in respect to early childhood development, conditional and equitable shared grants. The department reported that the number of children subsidized was 78,775, which exceeded the target of 74,958. And we're saying job well done on this one. Furthermore, the number of children subsidized through ECD conditional grant was 12,229, and the target was 10,563, which is an over-achievement, and this is a positive development. The committee observed that both targets were exceeded by 3817 for equitable share and 1666 for conditional grants. We therefore support the move for the adoption. Thank you very much.
Greetings, Speaker. Greetings, Premier, leader of the official positions, and colleagues in the House. Honorable Speaker, understanding this department is the order of the day. There is understanding letter on every program without fail. Budget been allocated to programs, and for some final reasons, officials just choose not to spend them to fast-track service development. The EFF is concerned that all services to older persons and people with disabilities underspend in fourth quarter. There are people which the ANC government does not care about at all. They only pretend like they love them during the elections. It is reported that the underspending amount to 2.7 million in older persons and 3.08 million in people with disability also happened. Why would you underspend on older persons if you care about them? Furthermore, there was an overspending on 3 children and family services, on program 3 for children and family services. This is a sad reality of the shenanigans of the current administration. The EFF is also worried about the underperformance from substance abuse prevention treatment and sub-program because it derails service delivery. The money meant to deliver services to our people is not spent because officials and politicians know that the people do not deserve a better life. It is noteworthy that 50% target for women at senior management positions remain a constant throughout the financial year. This is a clear indication that the current administration still has a stereotype mentality that women cannot lead and that they are better off led by men. We reject this sexist and barbaric thinking with the contempt it deserves. It has no place in modern and civilized society. Honorable Speaker, it should be noted by the House that infrastructure maintenance of the existing departmental offices also had serious challenges. For instance, there were delays of completing water-based cluster 2 projects. The delay in completing infrastructure projects is a delay in service delivery. Furthermore, it also implies that more additional money which was not budgeted for this project must now be spent. Honorable Speaker, we need to understand why 5 invoices were captured incorrectly and what consequence management was implemented. There is one simple reason why all this is happening. Invoices are deliberately incorrectly captured to create a room for corruption. They can use all tricks in the book who will stop the thieves in their tracks. Furthermore, it is regrettable that the department was constantly not achieving ages by including historical, irregular, and wasteful expenditure. This is typical of a failed state that has long thrown in the towel. They are not prepared to neither improve nor change. The EFF is concerned about the reported 400 cases of child abuse which is a high number. The abuse of children is regrettable and unacceptable. The government must come up with programs that deal specifically with cases of child abuse, working with other departments like safety, Department of Safety and Security. Furthermore, the stipends of caregivers serving in the non-profit organization were processed later. This is a heartless act because it affects the livelihood of our people. The delays in transfer of funds to NPOs during the 2021-22 financial year has a direct impact on service delivery. These delays are warranted and unacceptable because it delays service delivery to the people. Service delivery cannot be delayed or postponed. Our people need services now. They are suffering and therefore they need services delivered now. I think.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Premier, MEC, members of the Legislature, Deputy Chair of Chairs, good morning. Honorable Speaker, it is important that the department make an improvement to achieve the employment of women on the senior management. The department remains stagnant 48% and not reaching the 50% target. In the previous years, the target was the same. The committee comprehends the fact of natural attrition and retirement on the one hand. However, it is critical that targets are achieved with able-bodied women with capacity to execute their duties. Employment equity is not just an act on paper, it must be implemented. We commend the department on achieving the target of 2% in terms of employment of people with disabilities. Honorable Speaker, we commend the department in its acquisition of the tools of trade for social service professionals. The department reported during the quarter under the review that those tools of trade were not yet allocated to the social services professionals who were supposed to utilize them for work purposes. The department must provide a detailed report to the House about the delivery and allocation of those tools of trade. The budgeted amount for the required tools of trade was 21.8 million. We will exercise our oversight role on to ensure accountability and that our recommendation is complied with in line with our legislative mandate. We were concerned about the delay in completing the refurbishment of Waterbed Cluster 2 project. The matter is recurring from the previous financial year and the department must ensure that it is executed in line with the target outlined in the annual performance plan. The department explained that the first service provider had challenges and the contract had to be terminated. The new service provider was appointed in November 2021. We are also concerned that the process of terminating the first contractor will not lead to litigation. The department must make certain that the project is rehabilitated and completed within the stipulated period to avoid escalating costs. The new contractor must be monitored timeously. Honorable Speaker, we observe that the Saselamani and Mopani infrastructure project started construction in 2017-2018 financial year. This matter was also reported in the annual report for 2020-2021 financial year. The practical completion was only achieved on the 25th November 2019 for Mopani and 5 and the 5th February 2022 for Saselamani. The committee was concerned about the length taken to complete this project. We were on the view that for this project to take such a long time to complete, there was lack of monitoring by the department. The monitoring personnel of the department must do its work properly. If the department does not have such section, it must re-look into its organogram. If the section is in existence, staff must be held responsible for such long delays. Honorable Speaker, the matter of Apasha to the one-stop center is a thorny one because it was reported in the annual report of 2020-2021 financial year and still in the fourth quarter report of 2021-2022 financial year. This matter must be brought to finality and it requires the intervention from the Premier's office. The matter involves the erection of the multi-purpose building by the department on the private land and the amount involved is 6 million. The committee received unsatisfactory different reports which were not assisting to resolve the matter. We recommend that the matter must be a standing item on the agenda of the committee until it is resolved. The department must provide progress report to the House. The department reported that an official from the office of the Premier, Mr. Kabai, who was assigned to deal with the matter, had made evaluation of the property. Mr. Kabai further indicated that the senior council compiled a notice of intention to expropriate and the MEC for Public Works, Roads and Infrastructure appended this stagnation. It was reported that the notices were served to affected parties for them to make representation to the intention to expropriate, and the duration was reported as within 30 days. It was explained that the MEC for both social development and public works will then sit down with the senior council and go through the presentation. And after the meeting, the expropriation will take place. The committee felt that the matter was a long outstanding and needed to be finalized urgently. As we are reporting in the House today, 30 days has passed and the committee will exercise its oversight role on the matter and the House must receive progress report on the matter. We are concerned as the committee that at the time when building is going to be utilized, its condition might have changed and it may require maintenance. Honorable Speaker, the committee commends the department in its achievement of an unqualified audit opinion for the 2020-2021 financial year. That was a step in the right direction and the department must consistent and improve on the audit outcomes. Even though the audit outcomes are favorable, the department must strive for the clean audit. The department must ensure that the financial statements are prepared according to the financial reporting framework. There were significant internal control deficiencies which affected quarterly financial and performance reporting which must be worked on. The department must develop a plan to follow up on their prior year external audit findings. Appropriate measures must be implemented to ensure that transfer and subsidies to entities were applied for their intended purposes. The procurement and contract management must be specific in stipulating the minimum threshold of commodities designed for local content and production in bid documents. I so move, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. To respond to the debate made by other members.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, colleagues, members of the Executive Council, and members of this August House, the seat of democracy in our province. Firstly, I would like to lean on pearls of wisdom from the committee on the inputs that they have made to this August House, considering the reports that are very central to the work that we do as a department. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, we remain committed as a department to deal with matters relating to audit findings, the extent to which we deepen good governance, sound administration, and therefore prudent use of resources appropriate to us to carry the functions of the department as outlined in our APP and therefore our operational plans. We're working very hard to make sure that clean audit strategy find expression, and going forward we should be able to close on those matters which seem to continue recurring and therefore affecting our ability to graduate to a clean audit. I think we are hard at work pursuing that strategy. And that talks to our commitment to deal with matters raised by members of the committee around irregular and as well as wasteful expenditure, the extent to which they may impact on our financial statement. So those are matters which we will assist with hard at work to try to clear them from our books. Vulnerable people or social groups in society, Honorable Speaker, remain our major focus as a department. The extent to which we look after the social well-being of women, children, people with disability, and the elders as well, evidenced by the work that is done through SASA, but also a number of programs that we roll out, reaching out to as many as we could to make sure that their socio-economic conditions are better off because of the comprehensive net of interventions that we provide as a relief to better their living conditions throughout the program. So we are hard at work to make sure that these social groupings in society do have comfort under this democratic government of the African National Congress. We are very clear and committed, Honorable Speaker, on the matter which is very sensitive and which of course will not escape our attention relating to Shilman and Friendly Care Center. We are very much alive to the complexities and the sensitivity, the extent to which failure or inadequate attention may result in, and that is the reason why we have committed ourselves that we're going to not impact that process negatively, but allow an extension of the services that are provided for those occupants receive the attention they deserve from their government. So by the 15th of this month, September, we shall have extended the contract for another 12 months whilst we are working very hard with the Office of the Premier, Health Department, and of course guided by financial processes through Treasury to have this transactional advisor appointed, because this is a matter which we cannot falter because of possible consequences. So we are very much alive to that situation. I also would want to comment that the ECD, thank you so much, Honorable Maseko, for those encomiums given on the department for good performance with regard to the ECD. Obviously, going forward, my colleague from the Department of Education will be reporting on this matter since it has been transferred to Department of Education. With regard to drugs, master plan, and as well as substance abuse, we have moved very hard, Honorable Speaker, and the money is being utilized appropriately to massify our capacity to deal with this problem which troubles our communities in villages, townships, and also urban areas of our province. We have put together a provincial forum in the past 2 weeks, comprised of various stakeholders and almost all government departments in the province and those that are national residents in our province. We're going to be moving very fast to have the same structures replicated in our districts in the local municipalities, and lastly, at the level of wards, so that we declare war against drugs, working together with South African police services, and the extent to which substance abuse will also be profiled those centers where they have been offered, so that the dead can be able to make appropriate decision through liquor boards enforced by police services, the information thereof being provided by these committees that are going to be put in place, because they do impact on social development, and therefore the capacity of our systems in schools and many other areas of public services gets affected by this situation. So we're going to be there in almost every street, every village, every community to intensify our work around this particular process. We're seeing a new phenomenon which is most probably linked to the same situation, where primary school children have been abducted in the province. It's a very sad reality, and we're calling upon communities and parents to be extra vigilant, because between their homes and schools, this is when and where this matter takes place. So we are trying to intensify our awareness campaigns around safety of our children throughout the province, working together with many structures of civil society in the province. We are going to be dealing with this matter, and of course we call upon members of the August House through constituency office work to help us to actually read down information sharing, communication in various platforms. Other matters, Honourable Speaker, we take note, except lastly to conclude by commenting on the Pachasila project, which is a very important service point that has been constructed on the private land, and the processes so far between ourselves and Public Works Department, guided of course by legal services in the Office of the Premier, we are almost at the point where expropriation of this land on which this building is constructed, that process will be concluded, because the lawyers have already, from the information I got, gave my colleague, Public Works MEC, those documents. They are on their way through to her office, to our bilaterals, and most probably resolution of this matter, so that we can be able to utilize that building for the good use of communities in that part of the province, the municipality. Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. Those were just a few words. Without compensation. Without compensation. Yeah. Expropriation without compensation. Because it's for public use and for public services. We are very determined in that. Thank you so much.
Consideration and adoption of the report of the Polokwane Committee on Cogstar. Committee Chair. Table a report on the oversight that the committee undertook for consideration and adoption by this House. Any second? Honorable Salamana. Thank you very much. We shall now look at the speakers list for today. The first speaker on the list, Honorable Sekhukhune.
Yeah, thanks very much, Honorable Speaker, the Premier, members of ESCO present here, the Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee, the Chief Whip, the Leader of the Official Opposition, Honorable Charlie, and members of the House. Honorable Speaker, as a legislature, we have a duty to oversee how public funds are being utilized, and also we have got an obligation to oversee how regulations are passed and enforced with regard to appropriation of money to various units and how such money are going to be spent as planned. It is our duty, Honorable Speaker, to ensure that quality services are provided to the residents as per the mandate and expectation by the people. In our endeavor to play oversight over government, we took an oversight visit to Mopani Access Road, which is a 2-kilometer long road with a small bridge amounting to 19.45 million. In Vhembe, which is situated at Ramanor village. According to the plans of the project, it was supposed to be implemented within a year. It commenced in June 2021 and was completed in May 2022, which according to our observation was compliant with regard to the time factor, which is a good development. During our oversight, we noted with dismay that there was poor workmanship during the construction process. The road was very low at a level where during rainy days it might be removed so easily, might be washed away. However, we must report that the contractor did the job in terms of the approved design, which means our observation here is that there was poor workmanship with regard to that design. And during our interaction, Honorable Speaker, with the stakeholders on that project, we noted that the poor road was due to poor design, which seems to have been developed by an unexperienced engineer. We also found that the engineer who designed the road was paid 3.5 million for the poor workmanship. It was so difficult to fathom how the municipality could appoint such type of an inexperienced engineer, particularly with regard to road construction. It will be important to note that if the municipality wants to empower an emerging engineer, which is also the policy of government, there was a need to partner that emerging engineer with an experienced one, so that proper skills can be transferred. And finally, we make sure that our upcoming previously disadvantaged engineers are able to execute their responsibility accordingly as expected. It will be important that the Department of Oversight should play a role in building capacity on project management in the municipalities. They must identify that there's a gap. Skills development in the technical division in its entirety in the majority of municipalities for effective provision of quality services, because we really want to value for money. portfolio committee encouraged the consultants to never compromise quality work and should not settle for poor workmanship, because that in itself might put this company at a risk in future. We are still saying that the young up and coming African consultants and engineers were further encouraged to never lower that standard, so that we ensure that even in future they get an opportunity to participate. The bridge, which is part of that major road reconstruction, is also of poor workmanship. And it contradicts our commitment to ensure value for money. We recommend that the municipality must relook in its organizational structure and strengthen the technical or infrastructure division of the institution, because we have identified some weaknesses with regard to project management. It is critical that the personnel in that service should be trained to mitigate such type of risks. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, we must always bear in mind that the public can and should demand that its representatives hold the government institutions and its programs to a strict standard of accountability on a regular basis. We are obliged to know what is right and what is wrong. We know what to do about the situation when we come across it, and all that is required is the will to perform the oversight in a vigorous way. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker. Thanks to honorable members of the House, the Premier of Limpopo. Honorable Speaker, the Oversight visit of MIG project in Sekhukhune reveals serious challenges which include the state of infrastructure, lack of human and financial resources. This challenge speaks to the government's weakness on the part of current administration, which has been the case since the dawn of democracy. We cannot understand why the transfer of functions and necessary facilities are still incomplete at the Mopani driving testing and license center because the center is currently not able to offer vehicle testing functions to the public. What this means is, in simpler and direct terms, is that services are not being delivered to the people, and that the station is just a decoration which serves no service delivery purpose at all. Furthermore, it is worried that despite sprawling residential development, the center is located relatively far from residential area and as such not easily accessible to the public. Some of the challenges Mopani driving testing license center is faced with is that there is no sufficient space for filing, and employees were forced to create space for filing in their own offices. Furthermore, there is no storeroom. The center's cleaning material are placed on the passage. The center is completely neglected, and as you approach it, you are welcomed by long grass and bush. The infrastructure meant for testing of vehicles was not operational since the inception of the center. Like many other white elephant infrastructure projects around the province, this one too is a white elephant that disguises like it is providing people with services while it is not. The people are not benefiting anything from the center. The center has 2 eye testing machines, but only one was operational, meaning that our people are not being fully serviced. They get half of what they should rightfully get. The other one service contract has since expired and not renewed. This brings long truth for our people doing eye tests, which obviously has a negative impact on speeding eye test form. elderly people are most affected by this anomaly by government because they need to take their medicine at a particular point in time to the many of them end up collapsing on these long and devastating issues. We are led by heartless government that does not respect for elderly and regard for human life. The municipality does not have a technical office charged with the responsibility of road marking and general maintenance. There are some homes in the area. The station was affected by numerous break-ins as it was isolated from the community more than 5 years ago. By isolating the station from the community, we are making it vulnerable to vandalism and all sorts of criminal activities. It was reported that money, computers, and other electrical appliances such as microwaves were recently stolen, and this type of incidents occurs regularly. Related to this is that the offices are also congested and small. The management of the center, including the chief licensing officer, shared an office which was also used for keeping records. It is clear that nothing is going right, hence something drastic must be done to save the situation. Furthermore, the center is also in all sorts of challenges like shortage of computer equipment. This serves the web of officials as it is difficult to deliver service to our country. Honorable Speaker, it is disappointing that even the backup generator does not function and sales delivery is affected during the shift. It is also worrisome that the center accepts cash as there is no swiping machine. This is a recipe for corruption. Honorable Speaker, Veritas police station is insufficient space, and as a result, some officers do not have officers that squad with those that they supervise, and this can provide privacy in case of cases they handle. Finally, there is no perimeter fence for the police station, and it is open towards the road and further passage just behind cells posing a security risk. It can't be led by government that poses security risk on. It must be led by people who see security risk from far and diffuse. Now, Honorable Madam Speaker, this is where we ended with our input to the MEC. But Honorable Speaker, you remember that at some point we did mention to you that when we speak to this department, we get harassed when we leave this house. So I just hope and wish that we are not going to be harassed after this by the security personnel of the MEC meetings in the department. Because when they harass you, you ask them why are they harassing you, they say, we don't like what you said about our MEC on the issue. And we said, we are going to bring the fight to the house, and we want to see how we are going to stop us from it. Now what? They are not here. So please, MEC, stop discussing our issues in front of the security personnel because it compromises us. And we are not going to be scared, Honorable Madam Speaker, to raise issues because of some people who are wearing, some men who are wearing tight trousers, sleeping with shoes in the car, driving the MEC, and some angry women who harass us and tell us that they are police.
Honorable Bhutan,
Yes.
the debate is on the visit.
Yeah, but I'm talking
on the MIT project.
exactly my point, Honorable Madam Speaker. After I said that, I said I still demand my freedom after presenting that because after here, I'm going to be harassed, and I called you personally about that harassment. I called you personally, it happened here. And I want to say to you, MEC, and through you, the Speaker, that what you do, what they did there, I don't know why they did not stop us from talking to you because the issue is them trying to stop us from talking to you. Why they did not try to stop us? When you told us that you are having a lot of t-shirts in that parliamentary house of yours, that you are not going to give Soviet to campaign for 2021 because it's denying your funds. Why did they not call them to come here today? And I told you I'm going to put the hands down. I'm putting it. Why did they not stop? Why did they not stop us? Why did they come us to your house and told us that there is a woman who is frustrating you? And then there is the other issue of the regional administrator of the ANC. And then we must not say anything. Why do you not beat us? Why did you not stop us? Why do you not beat us? They can stop us. No! I'm telling you what I said here.
Can I address you?
Yes.
I don't think this house has interest to get here.
So this house does not have anything to explain ourselves. The police people are
That has nothing to do
I told you it has everything to do with it. When he calls us to try and talk to us that we must not raise things that it will embarrass him, they don't harass us. And then when we are in this house doing our work, they harass us and protect him.
Can you sit down?
No. If they can protect you properly, they should have protected you from those people who brought you to your house and stole and disclosed amount of money. They should have done that. They should have done that. They should have done that. Our going to raise issues against you without any fear. They were going to raise issues against you without any fear of being harassed by any police. And every time we ascend here, we are going to say everything that you told us. And then we will protect you. We are going to see it. And we don't see that in the house. I can do it, I'm not showing you. I can do it, I'm not showing you. So what is the problem? I'm not showing you. Well, we are used to be here. My arm is coming out of the I want to protect my security. I don't know Next go
Honorable Speaker, members of the Executive, Honorable Premier, members of this August House, following these oversight visits, the question must be put forward on the 19.4 million road project. Although being completed in the time frame, there are some very disturbing questions that has not been answered. The set guidelines to do light road traffic road construction stands at 3.5 million rand per kilometer. Taking that over 2 kilometer span, plus a bridge that was not built to specification, one has got to ask if the department or government did get or receive value for money. And the question must be that we have failed in that aspect. Honourable MEC, there's a duty and an obligation by government to monitor the expenditure and the progress of these or any MIG project. The failure of doing so is a clear disregard by officials within that sphere of government to uphold the various legislation and to make sure that we do receive value for money. And some of these indicators highlight the systematic failure by the specific sphere of government over that project. There was a lack of planning, there's clearly a lack of capacity, there's clearly a lack of monitoring, there's clearly a lack of implementing the terms of reference of this project, and there was a lack of holding the relevant people accountable. The PFMA clearly stipulates timelines for the conversations and for actions to be taken by government. The question why these people deliberately failed to uphold to those standards and government failure to take actions against these individuals clearly stipulates a role where we don't want to step in and hold people accountable. We have allocated 281 million rand from your department to support the 27 municipalities across the Limpopo province. And in that, we are going to monitor and evaluate the progress of the various projects and the outputs of these municipalities. The question must be asked, are we just reading the Section 52 and 72 reports on a monthly and quarterly basis? Has it become a tick box exercise? Or are we really giving effect to our mandate? It is our role as members of this House to hold the government accountable. But Honourable MEC, it's your role to hold those accountable that oppose this government. And your inability to hold those people accountable, to live up to those standards, speaks directly to the ethos of your office. We expect you to stand up and protect the oath that you took in this House and to hold those people accountable. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. The last speaker, teacher. Madam Speaker, the true test of democracy is the extent to which legislature can ensure that government remains answerable to them. This is done by maintaining constant monitoring of programs implemented by the executive. The legislature and its committees has powers to summon any person or institution to give evidence or produce documents and to report to them. We exercised our oversight role by visiting, Honourable Speaker, the projects related to COGS. We never visited any safety project in that visit.
We visited the Mogasho Kaganin Traditional Council Office and other infrastructure projects. The projects were built using the municipal infrastructure fund. The committee initially made an oversight visit to this project in 2021 financial year. The project was incomplete and was abandoned by the service provider. With the initial visit, we found that the project inception date was the 17th of August 2018 and completion date was targeted to be August 2019. The service provider, who is Grace and Pet Enterprise, encountered financial challenges and an amount of 3.3 million was spent from the budgeted amount of 8.6 million. The municipality retained 5.2 million, which caused another challenge when they were supposed to enter into a contract with the new service provider, who quoted 7.7 million, which was more than the balance of 2.2 million. It was reported that the difference was due to price escalation and the municipality had to wait for the next financial year budget for the sourcing of more funds. On our second visit, we found that the new contractor started. We are reporting to this House, Honorable Speaker, that the traditional house was satisfied about the progress in the construction of a traditional council office since the new contractor took over. The traditional council thanked the portfolio committee for its concern about the project and follow-up oversight. We commend the municipality for ensuring that the new service provider is appointed. During the in-local inspection to the project, we received a report from the site manager that the project was due for completion on the 21st of June 2022. However, due to some delays such as rain, they have applied for another month extension to the municipality and it was granted. It was also reported that only locals got subcontracts and jobs in the project. The portfolio committee was concerned that the contractor did not commence the project by making a borehole, although it is in the specification. We was of the view that the borehole would have made the work easy instead of the contractor buying water. However, he indicated that the borehole will be constructed upon completion. The portfolio committee, Madam Speaker, urged the contractor to make sure that the borehole is done and operational before the ending over of the project. The municipality was encouraged to periodically monitor the progress of the project until completion. This will help to identify challenges early for termite rectification. The portfolio committee was also concerned that the contractor is not registered with National House Builders Registration Council. The contractor, however, indicated the project is insured with other insurance companies. We will continue to exercise an oversight role over the project until it is complete. We must oversee their action to ensure that sales take place as expected so that traditional council can continue to perform its duties and people around that council receive better quality services. We went further, Madam Speaker, to Hadibela and Mkhalesi to oversee the access road with a stretch of 19 kilometers long. We found that the project was delayed due to the late appointment of the contractor and the delay of the review of design. The review resulted into variation orders, which meant that the cost of the project increased. We received a report that the contractor was reluctant to take the consultant advice. The contractor wanted to take the risk of stormwater control and review. We were concerned that the contractor seemed to be interested in speedy completion of the project, whereby the municipality will pay for the stormwater control and the bridge. It was reported that the expenses will be claimed from the contractor for the omission. The municipality must ensure that an agreement with the contractor is entered into regarding the claims to be made against the contractor. The committee further recommends that municipalities must ensure that contract specifications are adhered to by contractors to mitigate the risks of litigation by contractors against them. We was also concerned that the 2 kilometers which was under construction at the time of our oversight visit costed 16.7 million, not including stormwater control and the bridge. Even the 11-kilometer costing 106 million will be affected by stormwater control and bridge variation. The committee encouraged the municipality to ensure that all variations were addressed so that a proper route which will last longer was constructed at the end of the day. We appreciated the 70 local laborers who were appointed and that all contracts would be local people. The municipality was encouraged to facilitate the process to resolve the complaints by the concerned groups and to ensure that only local people are appointed except in instances of lack of critical skills in that area. The fact that municipalities do not have own engineers to advise council was a cause for concern to the portfolio committee. We found that relying on consultants for engineering services is proving disastrous in almost all the projects visited by the portfolio committee. The municipality must employ its own engineers so that they receive appropriate advice, hold them accountable for the work not done, and that they will do monitoring for all projects rather than relying on consultants entirely. I thank you, Madam So I don't know what you are raising now. Can you allow, you have raised what you wanted to raise. No, I'm not going to give you an opportunity now. I'm done. You were given an opportunity. Can we allow first, can we allow the MEC to respond?
No, I'm not responding to him. I'm just saying he must just know that it's not part of the issues that the chairperson made a visit on. It was an oversight from outside. I'm not responding you. That's what I'm saying.
I'm saying you were given an opportunity. You can raise what you want to raise now. So now is no, can you give the
there's no problem. I made my point. This thing is not already. I'm raising that because the chairperson said.
Sit down,
I'm raising that because the chairperson wanted to put
Honorable
time.
I could see, can I address you? I could see that you are deliberately being out of order because you want to collapse this city. So I'm not going to allow that. I am not going to allow that. Can you sit down and allow that? Can you sit down? Let's sit down. Let's sit down. Honorable MC, I'm down here. Can you come and respond?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to the Honorable Premier Chukwumatalata, Honorable colleagues in the Executive Council who are here, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Portfolio Committee of Costa, the Chief Whip of the Majority Party, leaders of opposition, honorable members of this August House,
I will want to appreciate the guidance the portfolio did present after the visit to a number of projects within our municipalities, which are projects mainly meant out of the municipal infrastructure grant. I must first indicate that the municipal infrastructure grant is a grant that is now ranging for 17 years, which is being allocated to our municipalities, mainly to make sure that our municipalities provide infrastructure and sustainable basic services to our communities. But I must update the House that the conditions of the need are becoming improving after we are also considering the challenges that it allows now for municipalities to even purchase a specialized motor vehicles or trucks which will go refuse removal in order to do that. This grant currently, initially it was just meant to construct infrastructure, but now we are taking a particular percentage to allow for the maintenance of the infrastructure that has been constructed so that we can maintain them to be usable to the communities. But to come specific to the issues that were raised on projects that were visited, we have already started in the department to make sure that we assist our municipalities to hire technical directors who are registered engineers so that they should be able to assist and monitor projects as we take this. You will have noted that all our municipalities which receive need will ensure that they employ or create a unit which is called the Project Management Unit, specifically to consider and support the work for the need spending in our municipalities. We have a unit in the department that is there mainly to capacitate and work with municipalities to ensure that there is a better spending of the NIC grant. I can confirm to the House that in order for us to make sure that municipalities get to spend the NIC, because it's the money that has been allocated to municipalities just for infrastructure development. We even try to encourage and award them some award for those that achieve 100% spending of the NIC grant. And as I speak now, most municipalities in the province are spending NIC, unlike before where a lot of money was returned to the national fiscus. Specifically on the road towards the Vhembe, I think the observation made by the committee will be followed for us to help the municipality to have a remedial action in terms of the poor workmanship of the project in order for help it to be sustained. We are using one testing station as we speak. We will continue to support that municipality, that project or testing station become realized and be able to assist. As for the Mohasha Traditional Council, Honorable Chair of the Portfolio Committee, it is out of the work of the department that we realized the poor performance by the previous contractor. As the previous contractor was terminated and the new contractor was appointed to complete the project. And as we speak, the project is about to be completed. And we will continue to make sure that traditional council are a priority to the department so that our traditional leaders have access to the offices. And I can confirm that we are working well, we are giving reports. The traditional council is going to be completed, hand over to the community to utilize it. We are doing that not only at the Mohasha Traditional Council. Next week, Friday, we will be handing over a well-completed and very traditional council offices of Masia Traditional Council, just to show ensure that government is continuing to do the work that was supposed to. The other issue that was raised, of course, is about the 19-kilometer road. Like I said, that the need is meant to make access to our communities, and we will continue to make sure that we support the municipality in making sure that the 19-kilometer access road that has been planned, we continue to respond to it. And that will be our way. I may say, Honorable Chair or Speaker, that these are some of the issues that we will want to appreciate the visit and paying oversight to our main projects, because these are the ones that are the core of the service delivered within our municipalities. But all the inputs that have been made, we will take them and make sure that as a department, we support our municipalities so that we can be able to realize the intentions and the conditions of the grants as planned. And as I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Consideration and adoption of the report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport and Community Safety. Committee Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I like to table the report of the Portfolio Committee on Transport and Community Safety for consideration and adoption by this August House. Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Any support? Honorable Islam.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I rise to second the Honorable Machi Veritas on the main discussion for the second one.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to present the report on the oversight visit to police stations and traffic stations in Sekhukhune District before this August House. Thank you.
Thank you. Any support? Honorable Butchati.
Thank you, Governor. Honorable Speaker, ndikhalanisa ukusekela uhonasono ngamavela kuba wenzile ukuvakashela ama-officers ngokulimele ukukhamba kuhle. Ngiyathokoza.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I like to table the report on the oversight visit to department service points and projects in the district before this August October.
Any support? Honorable Islam.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I, Honorable Mukawa, rise to second Honorable Sion, the chairperson of the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to present the table of the report on the oversight visit to department service points and projects in Mopani District.
Any support? Honorable President.
No,
Ndoliviwa madzulo vochifikara ndikota kuchela kuchikedza muvhigo wewapfukisiwa vhukati einonzi nga chairperson wa komiti vo onarikuziyono ndoliviwa madzulo.
Honorable members, honorable members, I don't think this house really has interest to can hear how well you can throw insult or criticize each other. We don't have interest in that. Can we behave, honorable members?
You already come such a
No, I'm saying it to everyone. I'm saying it to everyone. We don't have interest in hearing such criticism that you are raising or insult that you are raising in this house. Can we proceed with the proceeding of this house? Honorable Slamlela, Honorable Martin. No, can we be in order? If a member is out of law, Honorable Slamlela. Honorable members, after I spoke, they kept quiet and people speaking.
And what about the one where I see every email? I'm not from.
We shall not return to the speaker's list. The first speaker on the list is Honorable Vhembe. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Osmer, the leader of government business, Honorable Sekhukhune, the chief whip of the majority party of the ANC, Honorable MECs present here, Honorable members, officials, distinguished guests, good morning. Honorable Speaker, allow me to present a report on the committee oversight conducted at Sekhukhune District, focusing on traffic stations and Vegasport Police Station for the House to note and adopt. And this is done so precisely, Honorable Speaker, in line with the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, Act number 106 of Act number 108 of 1996, which of course is a law and is the supreme law of the country. Honorable Speaker, the following issues were highlighted at Mabokot Driving and Testing Center. The lack of vehicle testing facilities due to the department's failure to complete, to devolve its functions and to the municipality, resulting in the center not being able to comply with the necessary regulatory prescripts to perform its function. Honorable Speaker, if you don't address this matter, precisely so, you are likely to be wanting in terms of the Auditor General, because if the municipality can perform those municipal powers that are not devolved to them, it will be an unfunded mandate. And at the same time, we will be running the risk of losing the revenue in both the municipality and the department. Honorable Speaker, the grounds surrounding the center were not properly maintained at the time of the visit, and the need to increase the parking space for the employees at the traffic center was also a matter of concern. Honorable Speaker, shortage of cashiers hamper service delivery, and it impacts negatively on the collection of revenues. Further, the committee found that there is a need to improve security as the center was once burglarized and valuable equipment such as the computers and other electrical appliances were stolen. There is a need, Honorable Speaker, to tighten the security measures. As we know that most of the traffic centers are targeted by the criminals in terms of the deeds for motor vehicle certificates, motor and vehicle registration certificates, even though the station mentioned about is not rendering the service. But equally, Honorable Speaker, the committee applauded the cordial relationship which is prevailing between the local SAPs and the local CPFs. And we hope and believe that with the effectiveness of the local CPFs, which are the organs of the civil society, and also the ambassadors of the people's aspiration, they play a pivotal role, Honorable Speaker, on the overall safety and traffic enforcement on the road. We welcome this, Honorable Speaker, and want to encourage the facility to keep this positive relationship strong. Honorable Speaker, with the challenges raised, the committee urged the Departmental to expedite the devolution of functions so that this center may function to the best of its ability, and however, as the Departmental unlock the red tapes informed by the legislative prescripts to offer professional permits as well as learners and driving licenses. Another challenge is also highlighted to the committee was the issue of poor network in the area, which results in non-functionality of swiping machines and only cash payments are used, the element which poses a high risk in terms of crime. Honorable Speaker, it is therefore important for the department to look into this matter urgently to ensure that there is connectivity in the station in order to move in line with the fourth industrial revolution. But equally, Honorable Speaker, I want to indicate that as the NC-led government, we are doing well and the government is up and running to make sure that they promote the digital economy. I'm saying this precisely because besides the challenges as raised in the said traffic stations, as Maboko traffic stations, we are also having the e-licensing next door in the Limpopo Traffic Center and other traffic centers on the Italy. And that shows that we are serious to make sure that we promote the digital economy in Limpopo. We are equally pleased, Honorable Speaker, to report as a committee that the above station that we have visited in Vhembe towards Maboko Traffic Center, there are no cases of corruption and fraud reported at the time of the visit. And this shows that we are moving in line with the make sure that we promote the ethical and developmental society. Honorable Speaker, not forgetting that the very same municipality that we are talking, the former Sekhukhune municipality, was once received the clean audit when it was not even fashionable to get the clean audit across the country. We are saying this precisely because we are impressed to report that in cases where there was fraudulent cases reported, those who had been found wanting were swiftly dealt with and consequence management was applied. We hope that this is an indication that a clean and efficient administration is being run at these centers. We are not surprised the leader of government business because Limpopo was rated as #1 across the country in terms of the effective administration. And this was done under the leadership of the stewardship of the Honorable Premier, Honorable Chuku Stanley Matabata Marema. We further recommend that small matters such as cleaning and ground maintenance should be basic matters to be addressed rather than being elevated to this level, Honorable Speaker. We recommend that the department must look into the status reports from these centers and attend to easy matters such as boreholes, networks, and Wi-Fi challenges. Another area where we have visited is the Vegasport SAPS. Honorable Speaker, this police station is located within the active mining area of Vhembe, Steelport, and Vegasport. There has been an upspike in mining activities resulting in an increase in population size as well as new settlement around the area. The police station therefore finds itself servicing a larger population than what is initially planned for. And remember, this area, the Sekhukhune or the Vegasport area, the Sekhukhune District, is the Limpopo growth point, and is the area which is marked for the special economic zone. And as the ANC-led government, we are doing well in terms of that, because I'm saying this, the leader of government business, because the very same area, Vegasport in Sekhukhune, where we have earmarked the SEZ, we are very much proud to make sure that we as the organization, as the ANC-led government, we are providing the catalytic project, the mining infrastructure, the bulk infrastructure, and the bulk water that is coming from the world dam. And with the current approval of the environmental impact assessment, we are quite sure that we are likely to start to commence with the program of the SEZ in Sekhukhune rather than Musina Makado. Hence, I'm saying that we need to tighten the issue of safety and security so that we continue to attract our investors. Challenges raised, Honorable Speaker. The level of feeling of critical posts for both SAPS members and civilian staff, and this results in the workload versus the available population being compromised. At the time of the visit, there were 26 funded vacancies for uniformed members. Given the challenges that occur around the mining areas as well as the Mashulumi informal settlement, policing becomes a challenge as we like the ONC to quickly look into rectifying this situation. The informal settlement called Extension 10 is especially problematic with various crimes taking place there. The area is estimated to have over 10,000 people living there, including a large number of undocumented foreigners. There is a need to increase visible policing in the area as well as increase the number of resources such as boots on the ground, as well as police vehicles to actively combat crime. We appreciate that there is a functional CPF in the area which also has a youth wing. We support such initiatives and believe the department will continue to provide necessary support to the CPF. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, the department will continue to support police stations with the necessary equipment. Further, we advise that in future matters of settlement and special planning by COGSTAR in conjunction with the Department of Community Safety and Transport should always be considered to allow settlements that are within the permitted areas to allow police visibility and functioning. Both the department and COGSTAR should be partners in this regard because safety is mainly a community issue, especially in high crime areas such as is the case with the Vegasport. The issue of veterans and personnel on this regard should be speedily resolved. Also, the department to work closely with mine security and other private security firms within the area to ensure that matters of safety become a matter of common interest to combat the scourge of crime, and issues as raised with regard to the testing centers must be duly noted and addressed by the department. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
We have lost the principle of that rescue. What are you saying? We have lost the principle of too much. The principle of informal
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Listening to the EFF caucus led by the capable leader, Honorable Sekhukhune, the member of Executive Council present here, and all members of this August House. Honorable Speaker, the site visits to police station and government garage in Mopani, Sekhukhune, Vhembe, and Capricorn revealed shocking details of service delivery failures. The people of Limpopo feel that their constitutional rights are being violated on a daily basis by the government, hence they are lost hope for better life. Government institutions have generally collapsed, making it impossible to deliver service to the people as they continue to suffer. Limpopo, Honorable Speaker, Limpopo police station cells are worn out and they no longer using them. We are told that the suspects are taken to Makate, Zibidela, and Masamara police station. The failed state has degenerated to an extent that they even fail to repair the damaged holding cells. Next time we'll be told that they can't even repair broken failures. It's going there, only time will tell. Transporting suspects from the walk of Mutu Makate, Zibidela, or Masamara police station is an additional point of care. Simple logic tells us that what they should do is to simply repair the cells and save on the cost of transporting suspects to the police station mentioned above. The majority of police stations and government garages are faced with all sorts of challenges, making it difficult for them to deliver services to our people. Services to the people in the policing sector have collapsed because we're being presided over by the failed state. They do not understand simple government principles and the values that potentially have more power to change the lives of our people. But over and above this, Honorable Speaker, there is no political will by the ANC government to change the lives of our people for better. Generally, some vehicles or vans in particular take long to be fixed at government garage, and this has impact on police visibility and policing in general. Almost all police stations in Limpopo have inadequate vehicles for visibility and patrols, where human resources, including police, are insufficient to service communities. One of the contributing factors to the poor service delivery is that the acquisition and supply of vehicles are, as well as vehicle repairs and services, is centralized. We say to you now that the decentralization of acquisition and supply of vehicles, if you want to fast-track the service delivery. The construction processes at Mangum Police Station must be expedited and be completed within its original project timelines. It is the tendency of this government to stall projects or to move in airspace in order to feed to their corrupted appetite. The people of the Polokwane municipality and the RTMC should ensure that the telecom lines for LEU and Inatis at Mangum Traffic Center are upgraded and supported with 4G for continuous and consistent network connection. But of great concern is the fact that the dockets necessarily get lost and no one is made to account on this anomaly. The mission of docket is part and parcel, is part of a carefully planned network of corrupt cops working with criminals. These corrupt police are on the payroll of criminals. Honorable Speaker, sector policing should be revived so that the reaction or respond, or so that they can react or respond in time to crime scene as reported. The police take long to respond when crime has been reported, hence the communities have lost confidence on the police. There must be a clear turnaround strategy to correct the status call for better service delivery. I thank you.
members of the provincial legislature. Honorable Speaker, the issues as raised by the various speakers who ascended the podium should be duly noted by the department and senior officials in the department. Indeed, we have raised the matter of provision of vehicles to the police stations various times in this honorable house. We would want the NEC to raise this matter sharply in her interactions with the Minister of national level. I will not be able, Honorable Speaker, to cover all stations, but we'll try to highlight issues common across the oversights that were conducted. Limpopo enjoys the status of being the province with a low crime rate, and this is an achievement we would like to sustain. We also need special attention to be paid to Beresford. Plans are advanced to have Beresford as one of the major special economic zones in the county. The development that is envisaged there is of a major scale, therefore planning should be in accordance with the anticipated development. It is therefore our plea to the NEC to exercise that foresight in equipping the subs in that area. As mentioned earlier by other speakers, the department must work closely with other stakeholders, such as COPTA and other stakeholders in the mining sector in particular. Honorable Speaker, the speakers have highlighted issues as raised with regard to the testing centers, but the common thread is the fact that we should have sectors that are able to service our people efficiently. At this level, we should be above winding of the obvious, such as appointing groundsmen, ensuring there is parking space, employing admin clerks, ensuring connectivity to e-notice in the traffic centers are your day-to-day functionalities that honestly should not be elevated to this level. We are also concerned that there seems to be a syndicate that targets testing stations where they break in and steal valuable equipment. It can be a coincidence that more than 3 of the traffic centers that we visited were burglarized. We would like you to rather recommend on how we can assist with increasing SARS and traffic personnel, building of police stations, and ensuring of safety in communities and so forth. Honorable Speaker, the non-functionality of the vehicle testing centers in Sekhukhune and the Vhembe is obviously that concern. These centers are no longer serving the function that they were supposed to serve. The vehicle testing center at the Vhembe was degraded as the center failed to meet the requirements for a vehicle testing center. It does not seem much effort has ever been taken into to rectify the situation. We once again urge the NEC to look into this matter and ensure that this matter is rectified. Honorable NEC, we are concerned about the serious shortage of vehicles in the Vhembe sub, to the extent that in some cases, sub personnel reported using their own vehicles to attend to crime reports. This situation is completely unacceptable. We therefore urge you to look into what is happening in that particular police station, give a status report to this honorable house. There is also a lot of general maintenance work that ought to be done at the subs, especially with regard to the cells. Inmates are thus transported to Masemola Marate or the Vedega subs, as the holding cells in the Vhembe are effectively non-functional. We welcome the new subs garage that has been built in the Vhembe, and we believe that this will go a long way in easing the challenges of the past with regard to police vehicles. The state-of-the-art garage will offer services to police stations as far as Limpopo and Oversight, among others. We hope that this garage will soon be opened to the services of our substate. Honorable Speaker, we were also able to visit the Sekhukhune and Polokwane subs. We serve quite a significant section of the urban population in the Capricorn area. What has become
here is that the needs of an expanding urban population are way above what the constellations can now handle. The influx of people into urban areas has a serious strain on the staff's infrastructure. We have to appreciate and see that in all the constellations that we have listed, staff personnel have been trained on the Domestic Violence Act. We want to raise our concern, however, about the incomplete building at Mountain South. We are concerned that this project has come to a halt. Could the MC explain what the plan is regarding this particular building, which was due for completion in February 2022 and as such in 2 years behind schedule? The incomplete constellation means that currently at Mount Wayne there are no holding cells and inmates must be transported to Polokwane and Mopani. Mountain also reported a challenge with regard to the number of vehicles and personnel allocated to it. As it is one of the stations in the top 30 crime areas in the country, it is important that this matter is addressed, as with areas such as Polokwane and Veritas. The rapid influx of people into the area has put pressure on the policing services resources there. Honorable Speaker, under session staff, we want to highlight the issue of shortages of personnel, more so in the detective services. This means that crimes that need further investigations are more often than not unable to be followed through due to the high workload of the detectives, as was reported, for example, in Seshio. We want the MEC to also look into the matter of considering those in the reserve force for their availability should permanent work positions become available. Honorable Speaker, under Polokwane the town Polokwane is traveled by rapid growth and an influx of people into the city. The infrastructure does not meet the demands of the people. There is a further challenge of illegal car washes mushrooming all over the city. This, however, must be balanced with the need for people to create viable economic opportunities for themselves. There is also a challenge of personnel and vehicles, which we raise time and again in this committee. Overall, the SAPs must consider decentralizing some minor functions to enable matters to run smoothly, more so with procurement and servicing government garages. Otherwise, we take time to appreciate the good work by our servicemen and women in blue who continue to serve the province with pride and dignity. We are proud that year in and year out, Limpopo retains its spot as the home of peace. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, we urge the NEC to ensure that stations with high crime rates are prioritized for resources. Therefore, South-Mountain, the Gospel Koya Law and Session should be in the priority list. The South generally has good working relations with the CPFs in the province. We commend this good working relationship, and it should be nurtured to ensure we continue to build safer communities. We believe that working together we can deliver better services for our people. And I so move, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier, my colleagues in the executive, chairpersons of our committee, Honorable Siono, and the honorable members of the committee, the Chief Whip and all honorable members.
members in the House, the leaders of the opposition parties present here, and also, Honorable Speaker, let me thank you for the time, but also start by appreciating the issues raised by the Chair and all members of the committee who took time and participated in the oversight visit. We also note the other issues that were raised under the debate in Coxtown, which also spoke about the visit by the EFF to the different service stations. Honorable Speaker, let me say on behalf of the Department of Transport and Community Safety, we want to appreciate the feedback that has been given. We are noting the inputs and the strategies that have been laid out so that then it should be part of that what we followed, which is the planning that the committee and the members of the Honorable House are proposing that each time when new plans of new places, business or places where people are going to stay, because it has got an impact on challenges and the growth of the population, safety has to be brought in the planning so that then we can be able to prioritize the police stations and the extensions. However, I need to also indicate that on the progress of the Mankweng and the other police stations in terms of building, we will then, as the department, the MEC will come and have a member statement where we will be able to update the House on what is happening on the construction programs. Madam Speaker, without taking long, we have since had a discussion and agreement, as you know, that public works nationally and both provincially are responsible for the renovation of our centers, and we have since had a discussion on the program. And on the police station issues, when it comes to the fleet, the matter has been raised with our national minister, and as the RT46 is a national contract, we have since, as the department, with the national minister, agreed that the target should be on 90-10, where 90% of the vehicles should be working and 10 can be able to be at the garages. So we are working around the clock to perfect that. We have also noticed that on the visit of the members to our traffic stations, we have since moved, Honorable Speaker, one, in terms of the shortage of staff, where we do not have enough staff as those that are supposed to be sitting for payments. There's been adverts that have been done to be able to address that. Since with the national minister and the provinces, there's been discussions that speaks to the devolution of power between the national ministry, the provincial departments and municipality on a basis of 80 to 20, and new discussions are on the way to say what functions can be delegated to the municipality and which functions should be able to remain with the province, which that is in the interest of making sure that services goes quicker to the people. There are issues of fences and water that have been raised during the visit to the Way Bridge, and we have since agreed with the local municipality, especially in Mopani, where Greater Litaba will then with consistency starts to supply water to our members. And Honorable Speaker, we want to say on behalf of the department, we welcome the visit, and if there are other issues that maybe at this level we were not able to reply directly, the committee will raise it with us when we have our session, and as a department will be able to then attend to the matters. Thank you very much.
Motion for the reconstitution of committees and its members. Honorable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
consider the reconstitution of committees and its members in this meeting held on the 1st of August 2022. These changes are managed after the redeployment of chairpersons and members of committees. The changes in the chairperson of committees are as follows. Honorable Mopani and SLB were the chairperson of chairpersons. Committee on Ethics and Ambassadors will be chaired by Honorable Masiba Sina Saga. Portfolio Committee on Costa will be chaired by Honorable Yaki. Portfolio Committee on Sport, Art and Culture will be chaired by Honorable Abiyu Mohan Joanna. Portfolio Committee on Social Development will be chaired by Honorable Makowe Soafudushua. Portfolio Committee of Agriculture and Development will be chaired by Honorable Simon Matubani. Portfolio Committee on Health will be chaired by Honorable Martin Chitara Kebosbu. Portfolio Committee on Public Administration will be chaired by Honorable Maasala Matori Caroline. There were also changes in the composition of members of spending and political committees as indicated in the attached committee seats. The Rules Committee hereby submit the attached constituted committees and its members before this Honorable House for consideration and adoption. I therefore move for the adoption of the reconstituted committees and its members by this Honorable House. I move for the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Chief. Any support of the move? Honorable Silani.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I chair Boni Peninsula here to second the Honorable Chief Whip on his move into this other house. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Again, Honorable Chief Whip motion for the appointment of special delegates to NCOB plenary.
That was again Honorable Speaker, Section 61, Subsection 4 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, that together with House Rule 226, Rule 3 of the Statement Rules and Orders of the House provide for the designation and appointment of special delegates required from time to time. In line with these provisions, the House resolved to appoint the honorable members of this August House to attend the NCOB plenary today, Thursday, 1st September 2022 at 14 hours. The Minister therefore is to deal with the debate on the socio-economic impact and threat of the production and trade in counterfeit products. The honorable members are appointed as follows: Honorable Donald Sulamulana, Honorable Ganyani Rogers Monama, and Honorable Nobo Magres Makopi. Honorable Speaker, hereby move that this August House resolve to appoint the above-mentioned special delegates in line with the above-mentioned provisions that over curriculum of the Speaker.
Thank you very much. Any support? Honorable Muchachi. Thank you very much, Honorable Muchachi. Honorable members, today is the birthday of Honorable Munyamani, Honorable Malanga, and Honorable Kala. So I would like to suggest, Honorable members, that you all rise and sing for them. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, the House is adjourned to Tuesday, 6 September 2020.